Hey everybody, it's Matthew Reinhart here, Professor Matthew Reinhart to you, and this is another pop-up masterclass, new semester, whoa! This whole semester, welcome, by the way. This is your professor right here, right there. And today, this whole semester, we're going to be doing specific things. Like we're not going to be learning about, we're going to be learning about overall mechanisms, pop-up mechanisms, but we are going to this time, we're going to learn how to make specific things. And somebody had requested in the comments down below, someone had requested in a previous class that I make something, and they referred to a book that I did a while back, and they want to see how that mechanism works. So we're going to learn how to make wings for a flying animal. This is the Mega Beast book, but this is in a different language. What language is this? I don't even know. But anyways, we are going to learn how to make these wings. Now look at how they really spread out. So we look at them like this, and they're really, they're sort of pulled together. They are closed, and then as they open, they swing out in this beautiful, look at that arc that they swing out. So this arm here, and it's real hard to see because it's all the same color, right? So see this arm? This arm moves up and down as the wing folds out. It moves up and down, and it pushes on that riveted piece, it pushes this lever outward. I think that's the right word to use. Let's get started and make our base page. We're going to build it off of a big V-fold at the center of the page. And you all know what V-folds are, don't you? You better, after all I've taught you. And I'm going to make sure that the center line of my V-fold lines up with the center line of my base page. Line it up. It's lined up nicely. And then we tape here and here, right? Let's just use one-sided tape so you can see it. So, okay, so look. This is going to push out. So there's our V-fold, all right? All right, next up. So that's our main body. That was, but we're going to make two wings with two more V-folds that are sticking off the side. So let's get a different color. There we go. Look at that. That's nice. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two more 90-degree V-folds. So we're going to get two symmetrical V-folds moving on each side of the main V-fold. Look at that. All right. I'm just going to build up this wing part, and you're just going to see how I'm going to do this. Let's see. Something like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a big old, this is going to be part of the wing, and this is the bottom part of the wing. And see, I just used my pencil. I'm just going to make this weird sort of rounded shape. Okay? And I'm just building it up a little right here, and it's just going to tape to this. I'm going to use one side, or excuse me, shame on you, Matthew. Double-sided. We need double-sided tape, and we're going to stick it just on this triangle, the upper triangle. Don't get any of it below. So if you get any tape, like if you do this, oops, do you do that? Well, you know what I want you to do? I want you to fold it up and make sure only on there, or use the scissors to tape it or to cut it off. So see how I filled that a little bit with the double stick? And then you're going to take this piece, and you're just going to make sure when you put it on, you're going to make sure that you don't go over that fold. So what I want to do is I'm going to make a hole around here. All right, we're going to make a hole right there, and that's going to be where our paper rivet's going to go through. And you know what's really great is when I have a tool like this, I can make a circle perfectly. Let's see where's a good size. And I will tell you the size of this. I'm going to make mine about 5/16 of an inch, and that's going to be the circumference, or excuse me, the diameter is that much. Okay, so this is about 5/16. You don't have to go that big, but you do need it to be fairly big because you're going to make a piece of paper that goes through that, and it shouldn't be too small so that paper will bend or anything like that. So that's a pretty good size. Even if you wanted to go up to these are some numbers. Even if you wanted to go big to like, one of these other sizes, you could. I wouldn't go to like 1/4 of an inch. That's kind of small. But anyways, there is my circle, and I'm going to use, this is something you don't see me use very much. Where is it? When you're using an X-Acto knife, you really have to respect the tool that you're using. And when you're cutting, make sure that most of the time your hand is holding what you're cutting, number one. But then also make sure you're cutting away from your hand. All right? So see how I'm, cutting that way, out of the way of my hand? So I'm cutting away. Now, if I need to curve it rather than cutting towards myself, I'll continue. I'll move the paper so that I can cut it easier, and then also protect my hand. So there we go. Oh, look at I cut out the back. That doesn't really matter. Here's what I'm gonna do. Sneak. All right. I'll fix that later on when we make our cover. The cover doesn't matter on this one. All right. So there we go. We have our hole, and now what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to have an arm that moves up and down, and that's a little bit around the same size. So let's make that next. Let's get a piece of, I like red. The red will be a nice thing to show. And we're going to make an arm that's about, I don't know, it's going to be, let's see, it's going to be about this thick. A piece of paper. And we're going to double it over. I might make it a little bit. So we're going to take 2 rectangles like this. All right? Let's make them the same size. Take a piece of paper. Come here, scissors. Where'd you go? I make such a mess on my desk. My gosh. All right. Let's make 2 of these. And I'm just laying one over the other. They don't have to be perfect rectangles. At least yet. All right, there's 2 of these, and we're gonna double them over, and the reason why, and we're gonna double stick them together, and the reason why we're doing that is we want a really strong lever mechanism that's gonna push our pivot, move our pivot for us, and it needs to be stronger paper. So we're just going to tape them together using double stick or glue if you have that. So they're taped together. Look, I have extra tape. We don't want this tape under there, so we're going to just snip it. And if you want, you can clean this up at the top. I'm also going to round this at the top of my rectangle a little bit. This is going to be, I'm going to call it a pusher. All right, so I know we have this tape down, but because I want to show you how something works, I'm going to just cut it here. We're going to retape it later. Don't worry. We're going to retape it. Now, what we're going to do with this is we got to make sure that this lever, what's going to happen is we're going to tape this lever down. Okay? And I'm going to tape it down just to start, just to show you kind of what we're going to do here. So I'm going to tape it down so it's taped right there. Okay? And it's taped in a way, it should be, this line here should be parallel to this one. It's a little off. So let's make sure I tape it down properly. And you may want to tape it on both sides, and remember the finger thing? Okay. So now what's going to happen is it's going to move. If we look at this, I'm going to move it this way. When it opens and closes, look, this is what's going to happen. It's going to move, and it's going to go from point A to point B. So when it's closed, this is what it's going to look like when it's closed. Right here, it's going to be at that position, and when it's open, it's going to be at that position. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to link these two spaces. We're going to have to link this and this using an arm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it with my pencil where the position of my hole is when it's opened. And then I'm going to close it. And I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to mark where my position is on that arm when it's closed. Okay, so wow, that's a lot of movement there. Look at that. Look at it goes from here to here. And I'm just going to mark on there too. Let's see, where's closed? This is closed. And this is the closed. And this is open. Open. Now, we are going to have to determine between these two. We're going to have to determine where on this piece we're going to make our hole to connect a pivot piece to go through. So we're going to have to, and the way that I do this is I'm going to have to find a piece somewhere in the middle here. Right, I'm going to have find a circle that the distance from here to here is the same as the distance from here to here. Okay, so it can't be here, and it also it can't be this distance here to here, because in between, because well, it's hard to explain. It kind of makes a triangle. Okay, all right, we're going to have a piece, and it's going to need to go. It's going to need to pivot from, let's see here, I'm going to have to show you. It's going to have to pivot. It's hard to illustrate this. I'm going to use a piece of paper to illustrate it. So, it's going to have to be able to move from here to here without moving up and going down. We're going to have to find a nice space, and I think the best space is going to be around here to make our hole. Now that's a problem, right? Because look, I don't have any paper there for the red. I don't have any paper. So what do we do for that? We'll just add some paper. And we may remake that arm, that red arm at some point. But what I'm going to do, sometimes you just have to experiment and find the right place for it. So let's see here. I'm going to add some more paper underneath here, just like this. All right, so I've added the paper here, and this is still should be along this edge. It should be pretty close to being perpendicular, or this being parallel to this. It's not perfect, but it's okay for now. And what I need is I need to find a distance. I think we can make a hole. I got a pen thing on my mouth. All right. I think we're going to need a hole that's about right here for it to be able to move and pretty much stay in this within this sort of pathway to there. I think that's the perfect length from there to there. We're not going to use this piece of paper, but that's a really, this is where our actual hole probably needs to be on our pivot arm. And so we may need to change this piece, but we know kind of where it's supposed to be shaped and the size it's supposed to be. All right, so we're going to make a piece, and I think that'll work. So that'll, and see, let's try it out. You know what? Let's try it out. That's the best way to see if something works, right? And I'm just going to carefully cut this. Now I know I didn't use my circle template for this, but I'm pretty good at eyeing it. So we're going to test this out a little. So now we need to make the actual lever arm that has the paper pivots. So we're going to make the paper pivot that's going to go between this and this next. And we have our little measurement piece here. So here's how we're going to make that. Let's get another color that we can see. All right, here I got some color. And we're going to make a little pivot piece. So the pivot piece, I'm just going to cut a little rectangle here. And what I want is a piece. There's my little measurement there. So I know that that's the distance between, you know, those different holes. And here's how I'm going to make it. Let's make it a little smaller. Okay, I'm going to kind of make it a little smaller. All right, so I've made sort of a pill. Look at that. It's kind of like a pill, right? Pill shape. Get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. All right. I'm going to take this measurement. See how I'm lining it up right here? It's kind of a bean. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line going across this way at the top, and a line going across at the bottom. just like that. All right, and I'm going to make double lines. Okay, so see how I did that? So these lines should all be, these lines should be parallel to those lines, right? And you can, if you want, you can, you know, like look at a grid and line that sort of up. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. You can eye it. You can use a ruler. I'm going to just eye it. And we're going to make another set of lines. We're going to look at the width of this, the diameter here. It should be a little less than the diameter. And we're making some lines that are perpendicular to the previous ones. All right, so we want to make it so that this distance here can go through there. All right, so this is the shape that we've made, and these are all the little measurements. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. Let's use scissors. Let's just use scissors. Now this is an advanced mechanism, everyone, okay? So don't get frustrated if some of this stuff is difficult. See how I'm cutting out these? I'm cutting out these little spaces. I'm also going to round this a little. Now what I'm making is a slot, like this is going to go through the hole. These are rounded, these are tabs, and they're slotted tabs that will go through the these pivot points. And you want to make sure, like I said, this distance is a little bit, it needs to be a little smaller because it needs to fit in our holes, right? It needs to fit in our holes. So it has to be, the width from there to there needs to be less than, what is it, 5/16, right? And you don't, like I said, you don't want to make them too skinny because they'll bend really easily, and then your paper rivet won't work. All right, so this is our paper rivet that we've made. And I just like to pretty it up sometimes by curving it. It's a little easier. You don't have to do that. I like nice pretty. Oops, careful, don't cut yourself. That's all I need is to be talking and preaching about being careful of using one of these X-Acto knives and you guys not being able to. Okay, there it is. This is going to be the lever that works between and works and moves this paper pivot. Alrighty, so we're testing this out, and here's how it's going to work. I'm going to fold this here and here, and I'm going to stick it through here. Just like that. All right, how's that feel? That moves okay. I think that moves okay. Seems okay. If you want, you know what? Let's widen. Let's make sure that hole. See, sometimes when you cut it, it has a little bit of an edge. Here's what I do. Stick your pencil in there. Move it around. Yeah, that smooths it out a little. And let's do it over here too, on this one. There we go. Now those will work really nicely. There'll be plenty of space for them. So I'm going to stick this through here, just like that, and unfold it. Let's see, that's still not the best. You know what? I'm going to show you. Let's strengthen this distance from right here. And you know what? I'll just take a little piece of cardstock, just like a sliver, and use some double stick. Like that, fold it over onto itself so that it fits, but just make sure that there's no double stick hanging off the edge. Watch this. I'm just going to put it, and it goes right down the center, and that's going to strengthen that piece so much. Do a little on this part here. You got to be careful because it's so tiny. It's so tiny. All right, here we go. Yata-chia. Look at that. Okay, so now I've doubled over this arm that's going to go through there. So let's see. Let's make sure that this goes in there, just like that. And now we're going to put this piece and it's going to go through. here. So this paper pivot, there's 2 paper pivots for our lever arm, right? Okay, so let's see how it moves. Let's see. So it's gonna move from, what's going on? Look at what it's doing. When we close it, look what it does. This is not good. It does that. How do we we need to keep it flat. Look, we need to keep it flat, but it's doing this. Okay, so we gotta fix something. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to tape this down. But one of the problems that we're gonna run into is this is gonna run into the way this folds here. So what I might do is I'm gonna cut some of this V. This is the reverse side. I'm gonna cut some of this, get it out of the way. And then I'm also gonna change the shape of this. Now remember, this isn't gonna be our final swing arm, or at least it won't look the same. We're gonna change the shape of it a little, and I'm just gonna change it like this. I'm gonna cut off some of this paper. Right, so now hopefully when it closes, and I'm gonna tape this back down to the base page. Oops, I ran out of tape. Whew, had a little emergency. I ran out of tape on that dispenser. All right, let's see. All right, so I've taped this back down on the base page. I've got my arm going. Let's see how this works. Let's pull back a little so we can get a good look at things. Clean up a little. There we go, that's nice and, all right. All right, so let's look and see how this works. We've taped this back down in place. Oop, there's an extra piece. Let's see how this works. We'll make sure it closes. Oh, see, look at what it's doing. We don't want that. Look, it's moving, but it's not moving in the right way. We want to keep this. What we want to do is we want to make sure that both of these are really flat next to each other, because we don't want this to be able to this arm between them, this attachment, and this pivot, this lever. We don't want it to be able to move like that. We want to keep it flat so that we can have that arm swing. So what can we do to make that happen? Well, we can make a band that goes around the back that keeps this pushing, this arm, this lever arm. I just used to call them pushers. We can to make the pusher work. We need to keep it in place. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a thin paper band to go across the back of this. I'm just going to use some scrap, just like this. And watch, it's going to be super easy. It's going to tape it on the top and bottom. Let's see. Let's turn this around. And we'll tape it down here. And you want to make it so that it's not so, it should be attached and tight, but you shouldn't make it so, it should be broad enough so that this has an area to move. Sometimes it's hard for me to even explain the exact reasoning for things. I just say, do this, it works. And it does. All right, then we're going to tape it to the top. So what we did was we just made a band that tapes just to this outer wing part. Now watch. Now, look at that. It works. And it stays, look, it stays flat. See how it stays flat? Okay, I got closer. And what I want to do is I want to make a piece that kind of goes from here and then maybe here. And we need to cut out this little area here. Okay, and see what it's going to do is it's actually going to go, it's going to glue here, or tape here, and it's going to tape here. So we need to give it a little space, like that. And then I'm going to cut it off about here. All right, now this piece is just going to be the base that we're going to build our wing on, I think. But I just want to have something so that I can see, then I have a larger space to actually tape our wing onto. Okay? So let's see here. I think that's right. Now I'm going to mark some pencil here. We're going to put no wing. We can't add wing piece to that area. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little double-sided tape. I'm going to tape it to the tab that's exposed. And I'm also going to put some double stick here. And this way, what's going to happen is this is going to tape just like that on there. See how that? And we're going to watch how it moves. Now, it may not have enough space. Oh, it does. See this little? See how that worked? Look. So that little chunk that we cut out, and I might take a little bit more out. Come here. I'm going to just take a little bit more out, just to give it some space. Alrighty, so let's look at that. Let's pull back. God, I'm like all up in there. I'm all up in there, and then I'm not. Okay, so look. So there's where it starts. And see, it kind of gave it some space. But this way, it's a little, we have more to attach our wing, the end of the wing to. Look at that. Okay, so there. Now you can start to see how that's moving. Now this is when, you know, anybody who wants to make something that's not a wing, we're starting to see how great a pivoted arm like that can be. That could be the head of an animal. That could be, it could be so many different things. You're starting to see what it could be. But now we have a better base to tape our wing onto. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another piece. Let's see, what would be good here? Let's use some orange. Yeah. Now we're going to make our wing piece. This is the tip of the wing. And that way, let's see, I don't, remember the area where I said don't tape here? No wing there. Let's close it. And then we know, too, no wing here either. So I can't use any tape on those areas to attach my wing, which is going to go right on top, right here. So let's use some, again, double-sided tape. Oh, I'm so excited for this. This is going to be so cool. I hope it works. Fingers crossed. So double stick is just in that area. I'm going to put our wing right on top. Okay, so it's taped down, and I sort of pressed it a little. So see how it's attached back there? It should be pretty strong. Now it's closing. Now, look at what? Look at that. It's running into something. It's running into the corner. It's too big. Well, I'm going to cut it down. Let's see how far I can go. Look, that's how big it gets. Now look at that. Look at that. Look at the side. Look at how far that wing goes out. Is that spectacular or what? Oh my gosh. I love that. Look at that. Now, that's doing it really well. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Now, it doesn't look like a wing yet. We can keep adding to it if we want. We could round this if we want to. We could, do some things to it. I don't want to be too obvious about what we're making here, but I will be just for the sake of, this is what we're teaching, right? Yippee! Woohoo! All right. There we go. Now, look at that wing work. That is so amazing. Look at that. There's our lever back there moving, and the pivot, the paper pivot. Look at that paper pivot, or paper rivet rather. We made it ourselves. Look at that. There's the pusher arm, making it work. Oh my gosh. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy all the pieces from here and make a separate set over here. All right, so we're all finished. Ooh, magic. And okay, yeah, it's sticking out, but we can make a bigger base page to hide those mechanisms. So let's see. I copied both wings. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how they fly. Ooh, flying away. So now you know how to make the swinging wings from the Quetzalcoatlus or pteranodon-looking reptile from Megabeast. Look at that. So now you can do it. Look at how beautiful those wings swing out. Oh, they get so big and beautiful. This inspires me. I think I'll add some pieces here to it. It's just not complete if we don't, sort of add to it a few pieces. There we go. We've learned how to make really cool swinging pivot with paper rivets. So these are wings. Let's see, what should we call this? Wings with paper pivots. All right, everybody, you did a great job. This is awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today in the pop-up masterclass, Swinging Pivot Wings. This is Professor Matthew Reinhart, saying thank you for coming. See you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to notice of new videos coming out. We have a whole new semester of the pop-up masterclass coming, so be sure and stay tuned. Bye-bye.